to like cut out small pieces of that interview, like to have something talking in the background with like some nature sounds, and it's maybe like a little bit abstract and up for like interpretation of the viewer. And then you can like go into the opposite room of the nature room, and that's like what the world is without femininity. And this is not about like showing what masculinity is. We're talking about like doing an abstract interpretation of everything that's opposite of femininity. And then we're going to have this interview in the background too, which like puts more like meaning to this room without like only the visuals. So it's, yeah, this is the inspiration picture, and under there.
Beautiful.
Thank you. And we are going to the next room. And someone in my team member also working with this now. We're going to have this clean room with this cloud in the middle, and inside the cloud there is like stereotypical things, like we have just some testings here. This is a floating tampon, and this is like nail polish, and like there's like different things. And we want it to be like kind of disturbing and like provoking. And some of the people we have talked to, like there comes a lot of like stereotypes up right in the way, like many people we talk to think that femininity is like all of these stereotypical things, and we want to like just emphasize that this is really like how the first thing a lot of people think of, and we want to like show that that's not what it is. So this is like this trapped cloud of society. What do you think it is? And it's also supposed to be like more colorful within the cloud, so it's and not so there's like this travel of like clean color, and then clean in the end. And this is like the last room, which is, we call it manifesto room, and it's supposed to have like these pictures of different people and expressing femininity in different ways, some dance videos, and also talking people, and some pictures. And the last room comes back to a question and makes people reflect again, and it's going to look quite similar as the first one. So we're working with that, and we're asking them again, like, what is femininity to you, or how do you show your femininity? And like maybe people's mind have changed during the experience. That's the hope. Yeah.
Sweet. So do you have any SOS?
Yeah, I think we have a lot to do. I think we are like that we're going to make it, but there can also be like technical difficulties, you never know. And also like having different rooms in Mozilla Hubs is kind of like not the best experience. It's kind of slow to change the rooms and stuff like that. So it's not going to be like this super smooth experience. So yeah, there's probably more that I can pinpoint right now.
Rest of the team, thanks for sharing. I would like to ask everyone, like, what do you think this team is doing right?
I like that there is a storyboard.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just ask a question? Is Barbie gonna be in the show? Okay, I'm just joking. It looks really nice. This looks really nice.
That's the exact reason, right? Barbie is out of it.
Yeah, it's a little bit too last century kind of.
What can we learn from what they're doing?
I mean, we wish it would be, but it's not. But I'm just not gonna get into that. The project looks really nice.
Right, it's Monday, right? People have their sense of humor hasn't woken up yet, but I'm with you.
Thanks, Pebble, for making me feel good about that.
Anyone else? Anything that you think you can learn for what they are doing right now?
Yeah, I'd like to speaking of hubs, if there is time over today, since Viv, you and I are such good friends, I might just ask you later about how to do different things in hubs and maybe you can help. Nice. All right.
Sure.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's great that they already have some kind of mood board there, and it's like to share that it's so easy to kind of get an overview of your process right now. And I think for the rest of you, my call out is that wherever you are at, if you are stuck or anything, don't be afraid to already start kind of like prototyping. Even in it's like a screen with some images like that, it really helps to kind of put your visualization into a visual space, so you can even start to play around, like what should more happen over here, or what should I remove. So I think it's like way past time that you should start visualizing. So do that. Paulina and Shai, do you have something to say? Do you have, maybe Shai can start with how you feel with everyone's process thus far.
First, I think I want to give thumbs up to everyone for the hard work. And I know how difficult it might be, especially in this form of working. Yeah, I will second what Pebbles were saying, that don't be afraid of just trying things, and just play with it. Yeah. I'm just wondering what will be the best way for, perhaps I'll throw it to you. What do you think that will help you the most at this point of time?
Was that to me or to everyone?
Everyone, just feel free to unmute yourself and let's talk about that. For example, the groups that perhaps don't have, they didn't try to prototype yet, or they're kind of struggling with doing that. What's stopping you from doing that? What is the fear that keeps you from doing that?
And maybe something to think about, and maybe it's better that they put on the Miro board as well. Or the next team can answer this. Yeah? Who is the next person? Paria.
Yes, that's me. I can share my screen, but first I can briefly tell what we have been doing. So we're working with panic attacks, so kind of like an immersive experience of feeling a panic attack, but we're just telling it with with some GIFs. So while you scroll down, so you see some GIFs, and then you also hear sound, like a background sound of heart beating. Yeah, you're in a train station. Yeah, don't panic. I'm panicking. And so we have been working with the GIFs and the sound, and also our plan was to put them all on a Wix. But then we realized, at first when we talked with the CP team, they said that it's okay to have another link, but then they were like, no, we don't want people to leave the library. So we kind of felt that we're fucked because we don't know how to code properly. So yeah, I can also show, like, we started prototyping quite early, but it didn't work because we cannot use Wix. So that's our main struggle at the moment. So we are constantly thinking of plan B and plan C and plan D. This didn't work. What should we do? And yeah, stuff like that. So the worst case scenario right now is that we're gonna be putting the GIFs and the music and everything in a video, and then just put it there on the website. But then it would not be as powerful. But that's still a solution, a bad solution. Yes, I can show you some of the GIFs and then the website that we were going to build.
Do so.
I can just say something quickly, as we also have the Wix site idea. We talked about not having it because of linking to another page. Then we talked to, what is it, production? And they said that they could embed like the website in the website. I don't know.
Yeah, but they said something else to us. Anyway, do you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So here I can show you some of the, so everything has like black background, and we're going through this story with some different GIFs. And there's gonna be text on the left or right side explaining what's happening. So you are the person that is going through the panic attack.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And 3 of us have been working with different GIFs. And yeah, I can also show very shortly how we had thought that it would look like. So basically the text is here. And then while you scroll down, these GIFs are gonna be repeatedly playing.
Is it going to be in Swedish?
No, it's in English.
In Russian.
Oh yeah, okay. This is yeah. I see that. But we were just testing, so this wasn't. This is from the own Wix website. So yeah. But I don't know if we can still use Wix, then the problem is solved.
So no problems at all. No need to call out any SOS.
Maybe Christer can tell you if it's possible or not.
Yeah, that would be great.
As far as I can tell, it shouldn't be a problem implementing this or embedding this in the site. It will be almost like a gallery then. Then you can have texts on the side and stuff like that. Unless you want a very special sort of cohesion that's reliant on another, web base. In which case I will have to talk to Josephine. We might be able to like make a window with embedded software that can play it. So I think it shouldn't be a big
Okay,
deal.
so when you saw the Wix, does it look like it's gonna be working there?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah, I shared my screen.
Yeah, okay, but I didn't understand if it's like I don't know this much about programming either, so I can't really tell. But I know we can embed software. I wouldn't assume that it would be impossible. So
okay, great. Thank you.
Sorry about the very general message, but there's so many types of software out there, so difficult.
Yeah. I mean, nobody says that it's impossible, but you hear different stuff from different people, so that's why I'm panicking. No, because I don't know like which way to go. So,
can you send me the software names and stuff after, and I can
sure
have a look.
Yeah, Wix.
Thanks.
There we go.
Thank you. And in terms of the insights of the narrative of the story, like you think you're good, like covering or managing to tell your intention to get the call for action? Like, do you think?
So at first we're gonna write like this, like it's a Monday morning, blah blah blah, and you're sitting on a train going to the work, and then you scroll down and these kind of things happen, and we know that panic attacks are not the same for people, but at the end we're gonna give this message that if you experienced this, then you're not alone, and there's always like help to get. So we're gonna give that message like in that way. But like I don't know. What do you think?
I will leave
Maybe
it to the floor.
What?
I will leave it to the rest of the
Yeah,
class.
yeah. Because it like for us maybe it sounds great, but I don't know what other people think.
To me, one question is like, once you show me the panic attack or visualize, or I understand what it is it supposed to be helpful to me if I experience one, or if I notice that someone around me is having one? Should I know what to do in those situations? Do you give any instructions how to deal with it?
I think that the main goal is to raise awareness and say that you're not alone if you have experienced this, but we're not going to give any like tips on what to do with this when this happened, but we can link it to another, I don't know, website that would have the help there, or we're going to write like contact blah 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 for help if you're experiencing this.
Yeah, that's a cool thing to have, like if you're making a movie, eventually like have a credits and then like have it as a first input.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
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 Nice. How stressed are you guys? I can even sense, even though this is a Zoom room, but it's like I can sense the quiver in the air. Paulina, do you have some like your words of encouragement to these dear people? As I mentioned, she's not only a tech, like ultimate technologist, but she's also a theorist. If like for both narrative and tech stuff, like Paulina is a great person to ask. But before that, what would you say? Anything?
Yeah, I really like all the presentation. I mean, you can tell all the works are pretty complex in the development, and also like from beginning to start, there is a kind of a narrative interactivity. So I also can tell that it's not something that can be done like one day, and definitely there is like a lot of details to take care of. On the other side, I think that all the concepts and ideas are pretty distinctive and very powerful in the main goal. So, which is maybe also the most important part, because in the end, I mean, you always will find the time maybe to have technicians working on, or like creatives or stuff, but to have a good concept is a good starting point always. And as far as it concerns maybe some technical stuff, I saw some of you like just manage and like choose like a good way to like maybe with Wings, yeah, which is pretty kind of easy, but also offers good possibilities. And I was searching a bit for the videos for the hubs, and what can be a bit of a problem actually, it's the frame rates and the fact that maybe it can not freeze but can go slow or stuff like that when taking from an external link, so from just like a YouTube or something like that. Although I saw a lot of people like relied on Vimeo, so maybe you can try that as a good solution and see if maybe it's running faster. otherwise I saw that like uploading custom, it's a bit better. And it just maybe if you have problems with this code or something, we can see together. Like if you want maybe to write me, or I don't know, to see if we manage to do something. But still, yeah, I think always when you try to embed maybe in this kind of virtual environment, external videos that are maybe too long, they're more like kind of for shorter presentations. But frame rate and loading and stuff like that can still be, I mean, we are not at that point, that also because of internet, like bandwidth and stuff. But yeah, you may rethink of how to do this part, just this. But you can write me, we can just figure out about like custom things. And for general, like, because the last time I was not here when you presented, and now I saw some of these things you have done, the prototypes, and some of them are like really amazing, and almost kind of getting into the experience, almost like in terms of like visual and also kind of the storyboarding. So just like go on, and I think you will have like an amazing final like thing to present. So just go on with the work. I think it will be worth it also for you.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's nice to calm everyone a bit. And on that note, I think I also have a little thank you, Paulina. And I think I agree also, like with just, you know, you have a good idea, a good concept, that is a big start. Don't be boggled by like the technical part of things, because I mean, of course, you know, like it's never easy to tell a good story, especially online. There are limitations, but at the same time, I think I will add on to that. Sometimes it's also okay to kind of cut things down if you're unable to deliver the exact expectations from yourselves, if you're unable to do that. So for example, to David, like I know your team is, because we had the private review before, and your team have like stories of video clips that are like 20 minutes long with the story with the refugees. And we discussed that like it's too much of a big, you know, a chunk of information or story that people might not have the attention to listen to. So maybe it's about like out of the 20 minutes from the interview of the refugees, you can drop the idea that you have to share the full story. Maybe it's the work of not technically trying to solve it by uploading everything there, but humanly or manually thinking of editing down, like picking the accents of the story, you know, and then maybe like just finding key frame or key moments that the story is kind of like more touching, and edit it down. It just because you have done an interview with the person doesn't mean you actually have to show it all. It's better to take the human perspective of it and define what is the most interesting, and then just maybe cut in snippets of echoes of, you know, like a 2-liner, 30 seconds, make it a whole room of echoes of this person's voice, for example. So you can always turn around the concept and give it another delivery and not lose the story still. So this is kind of like an advice.
Yeah. As Pavel said, like it's also like the thing we were like seeing together about like mixed and augmented reality. It's how we have to dismantle elements. So we are not anymore thinking about being in environments that are just a simple screen and just like watching like a timeline going on. We have we are building like worlds that are both audio, but words. Just you can extrapolate words and use like some of the main sentences, you know, like or screenshots, or just like have audio on one side and a picture on the other, and like layering that as maybe as you proceed with the experience, or just mixed all together. You don't have to have like a narrative part. It's more of experience you have to live. So maybe with some keywords, with some key sentences, then the best, I don't know, like to screenshot pictures, and then some maybe audio or just a voiceover popping up every now and then, but not like we don't have to reason anymore in terms of like a classical like interview. Otherwise we would just like use more classical forms, and we are speaking about immersive content. So I just creating like immersive environments. So like totally free to like take your material, like just take the best, dismantle it, and like put it inside the room.
Yeah, highly agree.
Yeah, it's a good point you
too.
got up.
Yeah, I think it's like sometimes it's easy for us to all get immersed in our story, you know, the own project that we are doing. And then we kind of try to get into this perfection mode and not lose any content. But sometimes the best way is actually like less is more, you know, and I like that you can take an artistic perspective of putting echoes, keywords, key images to kind of illustrate the experience than to try to actually shoot the entire film onto this space. Is maybe better to be more abstract and simplified version that could say even more and leave room for open imagination or understanding your intention. So I think thus far, this is what I think I will agree, Paulina, with your ideas. Thank you, Paulina. So we'll move, we'll continue like this kind of like spontaneous feedback, and please jump in. Any of you feel like you have something to share, like you have learned or got inspired through the lectures and workshops. Maybe we forget, you know, while we are working, sometimes we forget all the tips and tricks. We just, you know, like get so burnt out, I understand. So yeah, first relax. And anyone, if you have ideas or feedback to anyone else, you can also just drop in the chat quickly. You know, I thanks Casper for writing a lot of quick feedback to the teams thus far. So let's say we don't use the Miro board, but don't kind of hold back some of your words of encouragement to one another as well. It will help. Thank you. And the next team, I think 6 is not here because they missed the message on knowing that they have to be here. 7, are you here, or 8?
Team 7 is here.
Hi, Petro.
It's just me. Hi, everybody. Hi. Good to see you.
Oh, likewise.
So we are doing this thing. Our team is like empathy with nature. And I got to say that we're learning a lot. It's a mess sometimes, but it's great because you can bring in so many things and kind of like the spoke thing. And it's also, we're exploring a theme that we like a lot. Sadly, Philip, which is a Green Party member, is a bit sick, so, you know. But I mean, we're enjoying our trip. About the theme, we were thinking like that, nothing like a documentary can create empathy, but also, you know, like when there's David Attenborough and you see the penguins and you're like, oh, you know, like there's nothing like that. But what we're thinking, what we can do when it comes to an immersive experience is present like some sort of like augmented reality, in the sense that immerse like the user in a living world where is invited to explore the content that maybe doesn't look as good as in a documentary, but what we can bring to the experience is like a mix of perspective, some extra content, data, infographics, art pieces. So, and we hope that by emerging in this kind of like beta, like meta world with like different impulse can bring to, like, you know, have generated impact in the user and have some insights. So in that sense, we were trying to make a sense of like how and why we use the immersive reality, because we can tell like a story that maybe is like less accurate than like a real video, but, you know, can bring more insights in form of like, you know, as I say, art pieces, graphics. You can explore different statistics and stuff. So yeah, and hopefully bring to some insights and like, you know, the understanding that there's no nature and everything is connected, that we're all in nature and this kind of thing. And when it comes to the insights, we value a lot, like the fact that the user is going to be able to hopefully, like, you know, get something out of this experience. And so we were thinking, inspiring ourselves from, you know, that thing that woman Eleanor Saita said, you know, this thing that there is like this lecture that it was about like the runtime, and before there was the preparation, and then there was a brief debrief in these live things. So we were thinking we can make a room where there's a little bit of preparation, like when you get some insights, and then a main room when there is runtime and it's more the experience, and then you know, a debrief room that maybe can bring you to reflect about what you've seen and where you were, and maybe present some insights, a call to action, and that kind of stuff.
Do you have any visuals to share, or?
I was hoping that you wouldn't ask me, but I do. I'm just gonna try to share my screen.
Always easier to see the process visually.
Yeah. Can you see anything?
I can see your backdrop.
Yeah, sorry, that was the tape man. So yeah, so for instance, like this is a visual of like the preparation room, or like the more the inside room. It's like we thought it could be like with a nice northern light.
Can you zoom in a bit? It's a bit far.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a northern light room, and there's going to be some content in here and some things that you can see, and a music that Berg composed especially for the room. I mean, it's not like Melody Festival or nothing like that. It's just like a nice music we composed for that. And then, yeah, and then that's going to bring more to the immersive experience. It's going to be more like on the ice, and like in a kind of ice world with like penguins and other animals. And here is a screenshot of like the ice. We have like a mix of like 3D little animated things and 3D ice, and then water and pictures and different kind of artworks. We have like some more like cartoony visuals that we got that font going from the protest. And yeah, some other penguins, like trying to, like, you know, go in a parallel between, like, you know, us, the penguins, and the problems of the planet and technology and all these things. And then we're also trying to put some kind of UX in place. This is like a rough draft, but we were kind of thinking like, we're kind of thinking like how much freedom and how much instead is good, like to be guided a little bit, and also like present a little bit the tools that the hubs interface allows you to use, because, you know, maybe somebody never used hubs, even if, you know, a lot of us have, but maybe somebody else, you know, just the first time, then maybe it would be nice to have a little guidance through the tools, the way that you can put things into the room and stuff. And so we're trying to work on a UX and on like a UI that maybe with some indications that, you know, without, yeah, like leaving some freedom, but explaining. Yeah, so that's a little bit where we're at.
Great, looks awesome. I love penguins. I cried myself to sleep watching David Attenborough's documentary. Do you think your installation will make me cry?
We sure hope not. We want to keep it a little bit like not too dark, you know, but maybe more like
okay.
Yeah, like a little bit of a balance between like explaining
Sure.
how bad it is, but maybe how similar we are all together and how good we could do all together.
Mhm.
And we tried to interview David Appenbrook, but he said that he won't come. No, I'm just joking. But then, yeah, but Berg has a nice voice, as nice. So we're gonna have some voiceover in some parts, and hopefully it's gonna be as good as if David Attenborough would have. Yeah.
Mhm. And so you are good now, and there's no kind of SOS.
I mean, there are a lot of SOS, like that thing of the user interface. I was wondering, for instance, I mean, how much should you explain? What do you guys think? Like the hubs, like if somebody never heard about it. I mean, would you make an introduction, because it's nice to like be dropped into the experience? But would you make an introduction a little bit, like, okay, hi, here is hubs, so you can drop things in the room, you can use that for comments, have a nice trip, or you would just, I mean, for example, that thing I was wondering about the UX.
Definitely, I think if you have to put some kind of directions, it's good to put them like more in the beginning than just like interrupting the experience.
Yeah.
And also and also if you want to have like a full experience and you know that the people will do it, because if it's too hidden, they will not find it maybe. It's good, to put something at the beginning for sure, like because the immersiveness will come later during the experience, and without like having to put every time like now do this and now that. But some acknowledgement at the beginning for sure should be put, and then just like leave them. Maybe sometimes if it's like needed, like super small but not invasive, So I think, maybe the beginning, it's a good point.
Yeah, thanks. That was we were thinking. Yeah, thank you. It's good that you say that.
It's also like kind of common if you think of every video game, on every new like platform that is going on. There is always like instruction, like small, but you have to.
Yeah, exactly. I'm happy you say that, because, like, for instance, when you start running and they're like, okay, try jumping. Okay, here's it. Okay, let's go. Yeah, definitely.
So at least you're aware of the things you can do.
Yeah, exactly, because they're quite nice. You can drop the things in the room. You can like put a heart somewhere. You can generate like some. Does anybody know if you can? Because like when you go with the magic wand, you can generate a 3D assets in the room. Could you limitate that, like in a room that you say like, okay, I just want to generate a snowflake, so that everybody can just put that, and you can say, okay, put the magic, or is this something that you guys ever tried, or?
So maybe I will leave that question to someone who can think about it and then kind of drop it or contact you, or anyone can say that before like we move on, if not, so that every team has a bit of time to share.
Thanks, Pebbles. It's good that you moderate, because I tend to talk a lot, so it's
no worries.
Good
that I that's my job now. No, but I think it's good to address your kind of like questions out there. Maybe immediately people might not be able to answer the question, but should you or anyone kind of have experienced that? But before we move on to the next team, maybe Petro, you want to share like what would you advise every team from your journey thus far? Like one thing great that your team has done and that you strongly encourage people to do.
I mean, I don't feel so good about saying that, because I'm just like, we're just getting started with this, so I don't know really. But one thing that I think that our team benefit from is try to put in things that we think that they are fun, or that we have fun in doing, more than thinking like, and that's what Sumbo says in the last development session, or what was it? That So, you know, I don't know, Nazra said like, yeah, I would like to make the penguin activist or like the penguin, you know, like, and then we said like, and then we make it fit together. And like that, people can bring in some content that they think it's fun. And so the kind of showed maybe in the project then in the end.
Nice. And maybe for me personally, I love to see a penguin protest. You know, like instead of like having snowflakes element, maybe you can think about actually doing an actual protest within Hub's world. And that is actually in a way what I hope to see in any group's project, whether in Hubs or anything, is someone who might actually turn the idea into a very actionable plan. You know, if you already have this penguin world holding the sign, you know, there's no planet B. So maybe it's a good direction to kind of even just, you know, duplicate many penguins and then just hold a sign that, you know, whatever they want to say. And then you actually kind of link that call to action to actual, you don't need to create the fundraising campaign when there are many out there. A very simple way to, like, how do people land the experience and exit? I think this is for everyone to think about, is like, how do they exit the experience? Not only, I like the question that you asked, like when, how much is how much when you inform or instruct people upon upon entering the experience. Like, I think it's good to give some kind of like welcoming or guiding instructions. And at some point you let them be and just explore. But before they leave, then there is another kind of guidance to like, what do you want me to do now? So for all the teams, would be interesting to think of how you land. And for example, maybe if you have a penguin protest, that would be a nice way to actually, if I do click on one of the the signages, it does lead me to actual, maybe a fundraiser campaign that they could do something about it. So you don't land and fall flat with the concept, but there is a springboard to an actual action. That's my feeling.
Yeah, thanks. I'm happy that you say that because we were actually thinking about like within a video of all the penguins, like, you know, but and like to the link, there is an exhibition now at Nordiska Museet about the Arctic and that it's actually like quite a cool thing. So if you guys want to check it out,
do that. Can I see that?
Can I say?
Yeah, it's. Yeah.
So I just wanted to add a general note about what you were asking, like how much to explain, because I think upon entry, it's good to give people instructions like how to move around in general, like what you can do and how to understand the space, and think of it as like akin to providing them a map. Like if someone goes trekking, let's say in the nature, you know, if they have a map upon entry to the track, it like helps them to navigate. But once they're in, I think you should assume that your audience is intelligent, and like you don't need to over explain the concepts that you're talking about, or you know, the narratives or metaphors. Like people will make out whatever they make out of it. So like don't over explain. And also I know that in your beginning to your penguin experience, you had the text like, welcome to an immersive experience, something something. And I think this is also tricky. Like once you say, oh, this is an immersive experience, it's no longer an immersive experience because you just told me it's an immersive experience. You know what I mean? So like,
that's a good point. Yes, yes.
To be immersed.
I will actually add to that because so it's really important to understand like, so the hierarchy of information that you're giving to your visitors. So there is like instructional information, which means like if you move right, this is happening. If you do that, this is happening, which this is important for the audience to know because that's basically what will ease their experience and their understanding of everything. But then there is the information that it's more contextual, which there it's really important to think like how much of it you keep as a mystery. So as Casper was just saying, like how much of it you are considering that your audience are intelligent enough to understand, and how much of information you think that it's necessary for them to know in order to enhance their experience. Because it's like, I think just listening to what you were saying, Pietro, and in general, like I think it's really important to keep this in mind, like understand like how you divide the information and what do you keep outside. Because like when it comes into instructional guidance, like you must have it, like it's not even a question. Like people need to know what they need to do, because if you don't have it, so you risk shortening the attention span of the visitors. So once I don't know what to do, and if it's not clear for me, I wouldn't spend time on just like checking around and figuring out things for myself. So this is really important. So this is not even a question, but when it comes into contextual information, yeah, this is where your narrative comes in place. Like when you need to decide like how much of a participant my visitors is and how much of it they are just like observers. So they just get the information.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Shai.
Such a good point.
Yeah, that's
Thanks.
great. Yeah, I totally agree with Shai on like having the mystery, and also like is finding the balance of mystery and reveal. So and I think this is a perfect advice not only to your team but every team here for all the experiences. Thank you. And next team, or maybe Shai, you can finish the.
I just another thing that I would add, because this is again like what Casper said, like it's really important. Like, you know, if you're telling me welcome to an immersive experience, you already like as an like as a visitor, you kind of like you might like you are risking of confusing me, because if I came to an experience, an immersive museum or immersive experience, I already know that I'm in this kind of situation. So this is what I'm trying to say is that like it's also important for you to understand when you build your creative team's experience, also to figure out like how much of the information is already being said like as the entire museum, like on a meta level, because this is also how you create consistency. So if like visitors came into the museum as an entire experience, they already know some information. So your job as like the installation, the ones that providing the installation, is to add on that information, but not repeating information, because this is when the visitors could feel like that you are questioning their intelligence.
Right. It's nice that you bring it up. And actually, I was wondering if everybody is doing like a spoke thing, how much would make sense to like make a collective introduction to the spoke thing. But then maybe then now in the last days where we would add a thing that, you know, now we have to organize everybody. We're going to make an explanation common for everybody, you know. But yeah, it makes so much sense. I'm gonna cut that. Welcome to an immersive experience.
Thank you. No, we could discuss forever. Thank you for sharing. It's not more of like I want to give some more time to the rest of the teams who have not presented and shared. No worries. Okay, team 8, Dolores.
Yes, we had like powerful words, and we also have been changing a little bit. At first, it was like powerful words that both like encourage and discourage one, and like giving power back to that word. And now we have like chosen to like go with more like words that, or like sentences more, that are like used to really like bringing people down, and like, or like sentences that are said that people like don't think about, that can be really hurtful. And we want to like showcase that like words can be really powerful. They can really they can really bring you down. So like but yeah, we changed from words to a little bit like longer sentences. And we also gonna do in hubs, we're gonna do, we wanted to like try to do also like more rooms, a little bit like Vivian's group did, but then we decided it would be easier to do like one big room, and then like we're gonna put like we recorded our voices like saying these sentences. And like one of the team, she's really good with sound, so she like made them sound really mean. I maybe could like show you, but like I don't know how like to share it.
I can spotlight you and then you can share it.
Yeah.
So where are you? Can you?
Okay. Yeah. I will see if you hear the sound, as I have like background noise as well. Okay, here.
You look older than I thought. Girls don't do that. You don't talk that much. Boys don't
You're
cry.
not sharing. Your screen is not being shared.
Oh no, okay, wait.
You see the green button below? Share screen?
Okay, yeah.
Yes, now I see your screen.
I have it on iTunes. So here.
You look older than I thought. Girls don't do that. You don't talk that much. Boys don't cry. You're wearing that? Stop being so loud.
So yeah, we kind of have like a lot of sentences. It's gonna sound like that, and then we have a room. Can you see this one? Do you want to share it?
Dolores, maybe if you remove your headphones, then we can hear you, because not like from the laptop. Like now we can't hear you when we can hear your track.
So, do you hear me now?
Are you on headphones, or if you're wearing a headphone, maybe you can just unplug? Oh, no. So it's quite soft. So anyone knows why she's so soft now? Tech support of Zoom.
I think because my Wi-Fi is really bad.
Right.
Sometimes I don't use the camera because it's lags sometimes, so I can't hear you guys.
Right. So you can share a screen. We'll try to hear you better. Like
I will
by
come closer.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So like here is the big room that we have, and then like on the walls they're gonna be like these recordings of the voices. Like one is gonna to be like more talking about attacking your appearance, the one personality, and the other is a bit like things that you shouldn't like, sentences that are bad, that like are directed to your appearance maybe, like. So that's how we're planning now. My team is having a meeting, so I don't know if they're gonna change a little bit because they are on hubs now, or we're gonna go with this. But this is like one of the rooms that we're gonna use. And yeah, so I don't. Maybe we're gonna add some because we will see if we can. We have time for that as well. Yeah. Could you hear me?
Yeah.
No?
Now, yes.
Okay, super. Yeah, sorry for the super bad voice. Yeah, so that's a little bit how we are, what we are doing. And yeah, I just like, I also wanted to say like, I also feel a bit stressed because I really want to do like a really like my best. But like, yeah, in this, we have been changing a little bit a lot. So yeah, but it's going good, but it's just like the time limit.
Understand. But there's no perfect result. It's always like 95% done, and the 5% is constantly our struggle that we want the best, you know. So it just continues. So don't worry. I think you are doing a great job already. And anyway, the project list, you know, like even if you just do however for everyone, the best you can till the opening ceremony, but you can always go in and add stuff if you like, because the site is going to be online for a year. So that's a great thing for all of you that to do this online digital experience, because last year, Shai and I, we did the module, well, it was a physical exhibition. So like, can you imagine all the work that had been done? And then we had the 2 days of exhibition. No, not even 2 days, half a day or something. And everything was torn down, you know, like, and you saw the pain from the students, like, like we took like 4 weeks to make this, and then everything was like removed. So I think this is the kind of like a great thing that now, like, you know, that there's digital longevity with your projects. So like, even that's completely up to you if you so like to kind of add more stuff and reformulate. The site is there for your portfolio to share with your prospect hirers and all that. So feel free to kind of continue to do that. And Paulina, like, I think you can say something about the words project before we move on to the next team. Like, how would you?
I think that actually you're, I mean, that's a pretty good point, and I wouldn't stress too much like in adding more rooms. I would concentrate on this one that you have, and yeah, don't focus now on the materials you have, which are already enough, as I said, and leave it maybe like the next room for after, or for like just, you know, a thing on the top, but it's really like kind of not necessary for now. And sometimes I know also when I'm working, and we have like always like bigger, you know, like goals and stuff, but in the end it's also like time management. And a good experience sometimes can be also like really short, or really like, or smaller, but like well done. And this is the kind of better, most important, that having, you know, 2 or 3 rooms than just one can be enough if well done. So just stay on that. Yeah,
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so there is no SOS before we go to 9. Do you have any big call for help?
No, just stressed.
Okay, so that's fine. We'll give you the light and support. You're doing great. Thank you. Team 9? Is 9 around? Then we go to 10. Jonathan, how's your von Dinkelschnaps doing?
Hello, good morning.
Hi, morning.
It's going good. We have a story, and it's like as you know, a choose your own adventure kind of format. So interactive fiction where you choose between 2 options. Yeah, we've created most of the story, and we've put it on Figma now. So we just had to work today with the graphic design. And yeah, it works pretty well on Figma. Google Slides was a little bit retarded because you can't put too many big files on it. Has a limit, but Figma is actually made for more heavier stuff. So it's fun to learn how to use that. Our biggest problem, I would say, is with like SOS is like there's no music allowed. So it's not truly immersive in the immersive spirit. But we thought maybe like to fix that, we could put music like on the site, like on our page. And then when people like maybe perhaps click like present, because it goes into like a Figma presentation format. So maybe it can be like the music be playing in the background on the page or something. Yeah, that could be good. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
So it's music. You're doing great, except it's the music part of things.
Well, it's also like we want to give like kind of a vibe that's futuristic but not cliche. But I think we are going to end up with a cliche, so it's fine. You know, everyone goes to the 80s, you know, for the future, and yeah, everything's neon. But
do you have any visuals?
We do. We have a bunch of illustrators and animators that are doing all the stuff.
Can you show something just so that we have a visual imprint of what you're saying?
Okay.
Yeah, don't be shy. Everyone is almost too shy to show the work in progress stuff.
So okay.
Like I'm gonna spotlight, and then you will find the share screen button below.
Okay, but we haven't like really finalized it yet, so we're supposed to do the graphic design today, and I'm really shy at graphic design, so hopefully the rest of my teammates will come to the rescue. Okay, my screen?
Yeah. Share screen. Yeah.
I share with you. Here we go.
You can sing for the sound effect.
Thank you. So then, you know, we have some GIFs because GIFs are supported. And then you click start, and then it goes to then, and you decide a future. We're just looking at different like fonts and stuff, but pretty much you go through the whole thing, you know, and yeah, you know, you have different options, and the point is
see anything. Sorry, just
sorry.
Insured.
Yeah, this is not going to look like this all the time, you know.
You can see black.
Do you only see black?
No, it can be seen. I can see it.
Can you see it? Okay.
I cannot see.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I can't. Oh, there.
Oh. Yeah, so sometimes there's dead ends, and we're trying to think of like how to make it a bit more not so texty, you know. So we're cutting it down today. Yeah, that's it.
Very nice illustrations.
I think they are original.
Nice. So if any team needs illustrations, can find your team. Someone was saying something? Any?
Well, I can comment that I know that we've been looking into having possibilities to install or embed software that can play sound on your site. So I assume that is easy to fix.
Oh yeah, I have a question because we have like for the CP team, it's like you can get an embed code for a Figma presentation. Is that possible to like slip it in there?
I think so.
Okay, cool.
Yay.
I'll post the question to the rest right after, just to be sure. But I'm fairly certain, since we also used Figma to make this.
Cool. Okay.
So the parts of the presentations are clickable. Do I understand correctly? And then once you click, you get to a different point in the story.
Yeah, we were thinking of making the buttons not really texty, more like GIFs, GIF text GIFs, so they like glitch a bit, so people, or maybe more neon or something, so people know where to click.
Cool.
Like the buttons should say like "smash me," "click me," you know, like they have to stand out so people know.
Yeah, exactly. You have to create the experience within your Google Slides.
Yeah. And we have a part in the story where the character enters an immersive experience. So it's very meta.
Cool. Thank you. Seems fun. Looking forward.
Just a short note that I guess the challenge here is to keep the text as short as possible, but yet still having nice write-up. So not to have a block of text in there. You're muted.
I agree. And then maybe it's also considering making like a comic version with speech bubbles instead of like writing stories within. Maybe it can be writing in thought bubbles, speech bubbles, or something like comic.
Yeah, I thought that as well. we actually haven't had that much time to actually do everything. This has
No
been very
worries.
like
You
last
still have
minute. So
time. You still have time.
yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
maybe think about
Okay.
like visual categorization of the text. So like instructions that can be like easily like spotted as you, but I see that you already thought about that. So like, and visually you see that some blocks of text are instructions, where like others that are part of the story can be visually also recognized as another element that are narrative elements or stuff like that. So you have the text, but actually text will be a visual element. So think in that sense, and how to categorize it, like maybe in just like two categories, okay, just instructions versus, you know, part of the story and like of the story with illustrations. So just like work maybe on this graphic categorization side. Maybe
Yeah.
colors can help, and maybe two different fonts can help as well. Yeah, push it with the graphics now. Like with minimalizing also as well, going minimal, but like more legible and.
Exactly. I agree, Paulina. Like text can be graphic element as well, and not just text alone. And don't be afraid, like a certain slide, you can kind of use a big speech bubble to say what the last character need to say, and you know, so categorizing of text is important. So we know where to look and not just a bunch.
So you would say, because like most of the story, like she has like choices to make and stuff, because she needs to find like she needs to find something, you have to help her find it. So then like, is it like better that you say like there's a narrative, but then it's also like when she makes a choice, she's like, oh, I can make this choice or that choice, kind of thinking in her head, because that would be more immersive kind of in the character.
Yeah, for example.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I like
and
that idea.
You just like click on that, you know.
Yeah, okay. Great, thanks.
Thank you. And thank you, Paulina. We can come back to more. Now I go to team 11, Alex.
All right, hi. Let's see if we can do this the best way possible. So I'm thinking. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So I'm thinking I'm gonna share my screen to just get this going, and we're gonna try to stick to the red, whatever you want to call it, the red thread. So yeah, our entire concept, our idea for our presentation was that we were gonna have celestial beings, or whatever you call them, aliens, coming to Earth and looking at it from a third perspective, a very like null, default, blank, bland kind of way, not having it in a, you know, with no background or anything. They come there to see this, they're gonna like it or not. So our idea was that we were gonna have, let's see if I can bring up the little things I prepared. Yeah, so we're gonna have, just like everybody else, it's gonna be in hubs. So we're thinking that it's gonna be room-based, just like I think it was Team 4. That everybody spawns in the first room, walking into the next one, and just like many other people in this like chat or call we have here, we're having a hard time of figuring out how we're gonna portray our work in 3D into the space of hubs. But what we came up with was that we could have every wall in the actual room portraying the scene that we're gonna pre-record in Cinema 4D. So for example, in here we have a space station. Let's see if I can get the lights and stuff so you can get better perspective. So here's just a little very early, one day from, but it's gonna be more tuning coming into it. But you can see that there's like, what it should be. See here, I'm switching to different one we have. Yeah, so here you can see that we have 3 different cameras. If I can get 4D spaces are not easy to navigate through. But yeah, you can see here that we have 3 cameras and they're coordinated and aligned 100% accurately. So you're going to show up on each individual wall, and once they play at the same time, it's going to look like the individual person while they're walking in the hubs room are going through the very high quality, you know, fine-tuned room that we have in Cinema 4D. But the general idea is that the aliens come to Earth and they're gonna see Earth in 3 different categories, which is gonna be represented in 3 different rooms. And then we had, I'm drawing a blank here because I want to slept a couple. So we have science, tech, and art. So these aliens that we also done some concept art for. This is alien dude number 1 that I've concepted, created. And here's alien lady number 2 that I'm gonna do some more and gonna have them walk around in this space. So there's gonna be sort of a, like, kind of hard to elaborate. Like there's going to be trigger mechanisms. So we have like every different team member focusing on different things. Some are doing all the research behind every different category, portraying, for example, the science, the tech in different ways. So here we're going to show, you know, the human portrayal of, you know, science, which is the atomic bomb. But then, yeah, I have this atomic bomb module that's gonna, you know, it's gonna be in a looping kind of motion while a text portrays on the left side here that's like giving the background information of how the atom bomb came to. And then we have another one working on the music. So we have a touch designer setup that I haven't really been able to. I try to sit a little bit and like do it at the same time. So since we're doing the whole room and the whole experience trigger based, moving from room to room, having different videos playing, we also want to have something ambient in the background that people find interesting. So we have a soundtrack, and then with that soundtrack, we're going to have live feedback coming from a certain, you know, point of view. So I've created this algorithm based on frequencies that are going to portray out different, you know, things. And now, like, we're going to test this. So if somebody could just talk for me real quick, we're going to see if we get some audio responses from this. Somebody on mute and say something.
Wow.
Hello.
There we go.
Really cool.
So we're gonna have something similar to this that's gonna
No
show in the
stress,
background.
everyone. No stress.
I'm an absolute nerd, so it's not no stress at all. No.
But
yeah,
other people, for other people.
Oh. But yeah, that's the basic concept. And then I think we're also gonna have, since I also like, I'm not sure how limited Hubs is, but I saw there was a VR feature and I have a VR headset. So I'm gonna see if I can maybe guide the visitors like through the entire room or whatever. We're gonna do some testing today. And yeah, that's the basic concept. It's gonna be a combination of interactive with movies, Earth,
How does
aliens.
end?
Nice.
What is the point for the audience? Like, do you land on some kind of
I
question?
think, I mean, the question is, of course, power. Like, in what way could you portray power for, you know, Earth? Is it going to be the, you know, the war, like the war machines they created? Is it going to be the art? Is it going to be like the beauty of it, the destruction of it? So the general idea is that there's going to be small, let's see if I can bring up this, we'll do that again. So yeah, we have the music triggers here, and there's also going to be some choices. So for example, the first video might portray, let's say, the science of things, and then the visitor, while the movie has ended, the trigger section being over, they could pick if they want to, you know, maybe focus on, yeah, here's where the like red line sort of disappears a little bit. It's very broad, but we're gonna have some like door choices, so they can go into different rooms and then they make their own path through their own definition of power, in a way. But like I said, it's very, very out there. So yeah, that's our pitch. That's our thing.
Super.
Yes. Yeah, I know. It's distracting. It's good.
No, it's great. I think like if you can see the chat.
Oh, I'm sorry. Also, this is what you deal with when you can't see anything. No.
So it doesn't seem like you have any like stress or like SOS help, but maybe people will be coming to you for help now.
Oh God. Yeah, I'm willing, but don't expect much. I don't sleep a lot, so me talking is like. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Cool. But what would you say then if you don't really have kind of SOS call for help? What would you tell your advice to everyone? What would you share?
I mean, right now I'd say speaking of like the problems we have or still have, is that we're a little worried about how somebody mentioned frame rates before, that how this is going to be portrayed. We haven't done any live testing, and the more people that are going to be in the room, there's going to be more pressure on the network and whatnot. We're just worried that the triggers and every, the algorithm we set up are just going to, kill each other sort of in a way. And like after 20 minutes in the room, we might just end up with everything being, laid on top of each other, soundtracks going haywire, somebody walking on the roof. Like, I don't know. We're very worried about, tech failures at this point. But the tips I would give is just don't do like me. Don't do like 5 different things, narrow down to one. Now I feel as if I have a little too much and I'm not sure how to put it on this tiny plate that we have, that is our timeline or time schedule, deadline. But yeah.
Cool.
Mm.
I mean, it's good to think big to begin with and then kind of scale down a little bit. And I think it's always the scaling down that is kind of like the hardest for everyone. It's like, oh, but then we have this great idea and that, but we could have done this. And I think then we more or less get ourselves more boggled down with there's more to be done, kind of stress than actually just focus on one thing and just do it well. And my question is like, how would you land with this experience? Like, is there like, what would the aliens say to humanity?
That's sort of like, we discussed how we're gonna, have this ending. So we have this very nerdy, like, oh, we're gonna make it blow up, yeah, because the aliens are sick of Earth, or it might just already be ruined, and the aliens come there like post-apocalyptic and have like a sort of, what happened to this Earth? Why is it, ruined now? What, like, who's Trump? But it could be pretty much anything, and we haven't really decided on that. Not sure. Speaking from the eye, I'm not sure.
Well,
if I were an alien that came to Earth, I'd say we'd be pretty much immature to go and join the other aliens.
Or maybe you can call out to the humans whom are actually not aliens. I mean, whom are not humans living among us. Yeah. I know one in the room besides you.
Yes.
I think Paulina is also quite an alien herself in her investigation.
but we also have like, I'm not sure, but we're gonna have, so this is Al Reed. This is not my doing. This is my very genius 3D boy that's been doing, and hopefully it doesn't crash. But we had like, we're not sure like where we're ending. We want to have it as sci-fi as possible, but we made these cryo chambers with humans in them. But we're not sure like if we're gonna portray them because it might just not be. I don't know. Is there an age like restriction in this museum we're gonna have? Like, because if kids should see this, they might just, not feel the best. A little worried about that.
CP team, I think we are not setting age limit, right?
This has been discussed, and we have thought about making like a message saying like this might be, sensitive, but no age limit.
Wow.
All right. Well, I can't really show. Oh yeah, no, you can see them. Some people in there. They're gonna be a little grosser after today. We're gonna do some twitching and whatnot, make them look alive.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I have a very disturbing mind.
Good. I would suggest that just do all the way.
All right. Sure.
Yes. If you're doing a dystopian, then scare the shit out of us and the kids as well. Humanity is doomed anyway, so.
Of course.
I was thinking that if you don't have a specific landing or an idea of what is the conclusion of this, you can also think of some kind of mechanics to leave the conclusion up to the audience by asking them a question and letting them answer that question somehow.
I'll definitely pull an Inception on them, no problem.
But maybe create a room where they can draw or write something, or just get a bit of like.
Enhance on the interactive part. Yeah. Thank you.
And also, I don't want to pull out Blade Runner all the time, but like think of Blade Runner, that when you think that in the end it's gonna be, oh wow, now it's gonna be, and then instead it hits you even harder because it kicks back to your humanity. Since we're talking power and human, that's maybe where you can hit like even harder than the bomb.
Yeah.
Great project, man.
Thanks, man. Same to you. Same, sis.
Thank you.
We're just making penguins.
Some dope penguins. All right.
Cool. It's totally amazing. I mean, it's like you can put it like already in any form. It's just like it's totally done, and it's very powerful and imaginary and everything. uh yeah, like you have thought about everything, so just maybe to have like a point or a few points that are the like main focuses of the experience. It's something that could help on a like kind of narrative or emotional level, in the sense that you're feeling that somewhere something is happening, so that it's not just a flow from the beginning to the end, but some points of, you know, like not of action, but of maybe meditation or emotional impact. If you have, for example, interactivity with the outdoor, you know, not to put everything everywhere, but maybe to kind of isolate like some of the like most core elements and put it like in a strategical part, so that you see you have maybe an unexpected for example element coming out that can then make the also visitor, because the problem is that sometimes our minds get very used to the like perceptual stimulus. So even if it's like visual or if it's audio, after a certain point of time, we're just going like this with attention. And you have like amazing materials. So think now how to make them standing out, and not to put them all from the beginning to the end, because otherwise they will slow become like a background. So make something every now and then, you know, to break, you know, these. So with maybe interaction, then maybe a protagonist, then maybe a sound or a particular kind of exploration, anything, you know. But now think about how to, yeah, create a hierarchy of the elements to create a narrative and the experience. Those points of, you know.
Yeah, those are super helpful points. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Amazing project. Yeah.
Thank you.
I would actually also add to what Paulina said, because I was really thinking about that while you were speaking. First, like Alex, it's really amazing. So, million thumbs up. But while you were thinking, and also what Paulina said, is like it's so important for all of you to really think of the fluctuation of content. So understanding like how you create this parabola, like, you know, how like you get a climax, but then you also put your audience into like almost like a paralyzing situation, so they don't get much, because this is what really like stimulates us and will keep us like engaged. And I think that also like a way to think of fluctuation is really trying to think of it either in timing. So what is the, like, how do you look at it from a timeline, and how much time passed from one piece of content to another, or to think about it from like a type, so type of content. So if it's like more of a permanent content, so something that it's there and I'm able to see it all the time and I'm able to come back to it, or like an impermanent content, so something that pops up and disappears and I don't have any way to go back to it. Because like when creating immersive experiences, like we always need to remember that, like, because our audience are participants, so we also need to work with like their alertness. So we always need to keep them alert to what is around them, or what they are experiencing. So this point that Paulina mentioned is so important, like this fluctuation of content, and what's the what is the stimulations that you're giving.
Great points.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's super helpful. Thank you all, actually. I just read all
Thank
the
you,
comments.
Shay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Everyone's so polite. Okay, thank you, thank you. And then the next team, so that you also have time for sharing. Great work. Team 12?
Yes,
Yes,
that is
Betty.
correct. Always great to follow up after Team 11.
No stress, no stress.
No, no, but so we decided to, we wanted to have an article, like a room with sculptures and a video, and everything's touching on the sculpture subject. We decided to do it so that you come to the video first, and also that might help take away from having to upload it, because we're also trying to use hubs, and that might help take it away from having to upload the video within hubs, but we're not sure how it's going to be built up so that we can have one video and then the room. So I guess that's an issue in itself too. So the garden will have 6 statues, and we decided to only do one in 3D. So the other one will be like more suggestions of sculptures in like a poster format. And there will also be an article and like a short text to each person that is a statue, to explain why we think that that person or that figure should be a statue.
Do you have any visuals thus far? Like a half-baked room, doesn't matter, but...
I mean, I don't have them.
Okay.
Because it wasn't until like 9 this morning that I realized that I was going to be in this meeting. So I haven't really been able to collect things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not the one doing that part, so I don't have that.
No worries.
But, oh yeah, we thought that like a call for action or like a landing for everything could be to have the visitors vote for like a statue or a person that either is in the room or that they can suggest themselves that they think should be fitting for like a statue in Sweden. And then we thought that we would like gather that information and send it in. We have one person that looked up who would be the responsible person in Stockholm to talk to with anything surrounding that. But now when you say that it's going to be up for a year, I'm like, when should we email them in a year? Because so I'm not sure if that might be an SOS question as well. The only SOSs that I could think about were like the video issue, and I had someone in my team wonder if it's too late to like book a talk with Stefano.
I know Stefano, he just arrived in Hamburg. So in these 2 weeks, he's actually super busy with some work. So
I'm sure we can like solve it anyways, but it was just a question.
If someone in the room, that's why in the peer support, like can answer some questions, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's very important to do some trials in the sense that they have, of course, allowed this feature, so it should work. I mean, having videos. And the problem is that with all these things kind of fine as I repeated, they might have like some lags, but it depends. Maybe if it's a short video or a quality, it's different. It might be like totally good, you know. It's just like give it some trial. First with external links because it's easier. And if you see that it's not working, then try to upload it. But with upload should work fine because it's on their servers. So there should not be like this problem as with the external links, as far as I have like read. But anything like, you know, maybe some people can encounter problems, but you don't. So it just like don't give up immediately. But if you see that you have done everything and linked on Vimeo, on YouTube, and it's not working, then I don't know. yeah, just try another strategy. But yeah, they have it in the, so it should be kind of be possible, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, just like trials for now, it's the best, the only solution.
And I believe, like, since Paulina, she's like multi-talented and transdisciplinary, she does know different creative techniques, and she even said like, well, even if like just tell me what at the beginning like they're doing, like she can look into it. So she's even willing to kind of help you, you know.
Yeah, if you have like this with this problem, we can look it together, like but for example, maybe you can write me like what you have done and what it's like the problem that it's like appearing, so we can like look again and see like in the code, or like if there is a way to solve it.
Yeah.
I guess everybody has almost the same. I will search now after the meeting, but like in I have already like now done a bit of a research, and definitely people is suggesting of customized like uploading, so with a custom thing, not external, but of course external it's more easy, so I don't know.
Yeah, she's on
maybe
Slack.
try it.
Yeah, try it first.
Try it first. Try it with the link. Just anyway, just kind of drop in, no? And if it's not going, we can see.
Yeah, and maybe we can in Slack create a hubs group.
Yeah. We have few days anyway, you know.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can reduce the video. We will see together.
Thank you for offering, and you guys know where to find Paulina. Whether is it for narratives or tech, she's good. Thank you. Maybe we can move on to, since we're a bit over time, like 13. And then we just have 2 more groups. So yeah, no worries. Just the last 2 groups. I hope the rest of you just stay with us for a bit. Thank you for understanding. Let's kind of give our love to this 2 last groups. So then you'll be released. Thank you. 13, you want to share your current phase and any big SOS?
About SOS, I think we don't really have any so far, besides of the time. But yeah, I prepared also some a PDF file, and yeah, I want to share my screen for that, to show you that. So we made also some changes about our idea, and give me some seconds.
Cool.
Can everyone see it?
Yes.
Nice. Okay. So first of all, about the description text, everyone from our team has the same vision and the same thoughts about it, but we just need to finalize how we want to describe the text. So the text right now here in front of you is maybe not the final one, just to let you know that. And yeah, our idea is about to create our scripted immersive video, which is also able to the viewer to rotate in a 360 degree. So it's kind of VR. And we want, So yeah, what we want to visualize here is more or less the power of the algorithm. So the beginning of a video looks like that you spawn here on this platform with this giant head, which is actually the visualization of the algorithm itself. And next to this platform should be some screens around it, where are some different types of content able to be seen, which are my team right now working with. And yeah, this AI thing, it's also called algorithm. The algorithm is talking to the visitor, and it says stuff like, hey, based on your cookies, based of your data, I have here some recommendations of videos or clips which could be really interesting for you. And then the screens will be changed to this kind of topic, like something like cats. And yeah, and after some other recommendations, we want to visualize that the visitor wants to stop this loop, to stop being at the internet or with any technological device in general. So the algorithm will say after the time stuff like, hey, don't leave. I really have some nice videos which could be really interesting for you. Just stay here. Stuff like that. And it gets more and more passive aggressive. And our goal is to make the visitor leave with our fascinating, but also our disturbing feeling as well. And yeah, and our current challenges are right now, just like I mentioned, the render times, the time itself, and the content we want to show on the screens, and matching the script with our video length. Yeah. And about our design experience, we also work with a design board and how we want to orientate ourselves to a direction of the design. And I also could go into even further and explain even deeper how we made some specific decisions, but this will be a bit too long. But yeah, we also wanted to start at the beginning actually with our human creature as an AI, but we thought, okay, to make it a little bit more disturbing, to just use something like a head. And we also made some sketches about how a room could look like or the dimension. And yeah, and the what and why from these ideas, actually, we are aware that we spend always more and more time with technology, and it's always really important to have some kind of a break. And with this disturbing feeling, we want to get the visitor to get. It should be also be aware, okay, maybe it's not a good idea to be that long on the internet or some stuff like that. And I also rendered our single frame. I can also show you that. And this is more or less how the room itself looks like. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Nice. So yeah,
Nice hit.
this is
AI
actually
hit.
it for now.
I think we can see it, but I don't think what you click the link, right? And something new should have popped up, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, and we don't see that.
So you don't really see it, what I have
No.
right now on my screen. Okay, give me a second.
Also prepare yourself, homie. I got questions. I got a lot of questions.
Of course. So how do I do that?
Maybe you have to schedule a private session then because of time.
No, everybody needs to sit and listen. No.
And
I'll try our
here
best.
it is. So yeah, this is this one single frame which we rendered. And this is actually our room for now. Everyone can see it, right? Okay, nice. And you also thought maybe to work on a bit about our own marketing. So that's why we also thought maybe creating something like an Instagram carousel, a poster, which we also could use for the template later on, and maybe something like our 5-6 teaser for our idea, just to make some promo for us. And we also created an Instagram carousel. I also want to show you that, how it looks like.
Cool.
And it's this here. Yeah.
Quite eerie, and that's what you want to achieve. That's awesome.
And one of my best friends is also a music producer, and he also helped us with a music background. And one of my team also have some experience when it comes to sound design. And we wanted to start from the beginning of the video more in our harmonic feel, but after the time, when the video gets to the end, it gets more and more a bit creepy, and even the voice from the AI sounds like a type of alien language, and like pitched voice and stuff. Yeah, but this is all what we have for now.
Sweet.
I guess. Yeah.
Maybe one question from Alex, if you have a dying question.
Of course, man. Ask.
We'll take it later. There is not going to be one question.
Okay.
Okay.
I just want to say that it's
Any
so
other
romantic, like the motherboard, like a mother that gives birth in the middle, like in a pool, like something. I thought that I don't know if I always tend to see like more tender than what it is. I don't know if you meant it like that, but I think it was like really romantic. Thanks, it's great.
Yeah, the meaning of the word motherboard itself should be more like it should be the central place of all your collected data.
Yeah.
I think one SOS that I'm thinking of at least is maybe to like still like, how do you say, knit it together and like how to really land it. But I think maybe that will be clearer when we actually try it as the 360 video and like see what the visitor takes with from this experience, and to like the balance between getting what we want to say and how disturbing it is. But I think it was Casper who mentioned like the Kebnekaise tool thing with the 5 why, and yeah, what questions you can ask yourself. So if there's any more tips on how to do that, we will be happy to take it.
Nice, thank you. I do like Petro's observation with motherboard and mother, like because both of you are doing kind of on the other end of the scale, Mother Earth, motherboard. So if there's some way to link your narrative.
Yeah, maybe you can be a son of a motherboard. I'm just joking.
Yeah. Anyone who has also like a way suggestion for them to land, like you can DM, like message Bazat and Louisa, and then Alex can ask them the 10 questions you have in mind. Thank you for sharing. Impressive. So the last one.
Thank you.
Thank you. And last team, I think just CP. Like I guess Krista, you want to share everyone, like to assure people the process we are at now and all good. And if you have question, as you said earlier, that you wanted to ask people.
Oh, I can't remember the question.
Too many questions.
Too many questions, and we're over time. I don't have much to show, and I don't really know how much me has shared with you before. But there is possibilities to turn stuff in now and select your sort of layout for your for this the part of the site that's going to be yours. So each group can select sort of a, let's say, a schematic that's also very easily changed. And we're still working really hard to make everything fit together and work smoothly. The intro video, which was filmed a couple of days ago, is now coming out of clipping and stuff like that. So we haven't really seen much yet. Personally, I'm making UX stuff, so I'm like making small GIFs that says "turn your phone around" or click here and stuff like that. So honestly, it's very hard to say from my perspective that everything's pieced together, but the site is being built as we speak, and all of the things I've seen today should be easy to implement. I hope.
Nice. Well, that's assuring. So there isn't no glitch or anything, like you feel confident with the site running up, and
yes.
So no SOS as well, except everyone's encouragement, support, love.
One SOS I can take up is that if we want this common Mozilla Hubs room, like a hub, the hub. It's like if Batman had played baseball, he'd play with a bat, I would love to have some of you 3D working people help us out with that. That would be amazing. And if anyone feels like they have, for some reason, time left over or the will to start thinking about this, please approach me and we can talk about making this little hallway of the 3D section.
Nice. Is that the one you're talking about that links everyone hubs room together?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I noticed from the chat, Casper mentioned a good suggestion since there are several teams doing hubs experience. So it would be interesting if that rooms, all the different rooms could be somewhat linked through a kind of like a central room. So it doesn't need to be complicated, but it's just maybe a central room with different doors that exit to a different space. So if that can be easily done, it would be good, not because of the aesthetical idea of it, but the support idea that actually the visitors stay within the experience, moving from rooms to rooms, instead of going to one room and exit the entire site. So if anyone is up for just helping on just having that room, I also strongly encourage that for everyone's benefit, actually, for the entire class, even not only that few groups, because it heightened the virtual museum experience so much more. So it's a good point that you mentioned this for SOS.
Had it been up to me, I think more of it would have been in this kind of space, but this is where we are.
But
Awesome.
oh, sorry, but just a quickie. Oh, are we talking like I'm trying to understand the whole thing, like a Hall of Fame where every project could be reached, but it's a 3D environment. Is that sort of?
There's going to be like if you go through the museum and you go through all of the artworks, you'll get to the end and you'll see like a site of thumbnails, so you can go back and look at everything you want more in detail or whatever. But what we're talking about now is like making something for like a 3D space between the 3D spaces. That sort of is like that we can interconnect the Mozilla Hubs world. I would love to do it for the entire gallery, but I won't say here and now that it's gonna be possible.
Yeah. Awesome. No, like I don't have the time, but a volunteer's tribute. I'm willing.
That's great. I mean, because I frankly would spend way too much time making it. So I'll think about how we can implement it in a good way and talk to the rest of the CP team.
Do you have some prototype you can show us, like in some way, how it would look like?
Have you been sent these schematics of how it can look?
I haven't seen it, but if it's sent, I could like try to find it, I guess. Or if
I can show you a
someone has the link.
screenshot of the actual site. Just 2 seconds. Right now it looks like this, and this is like as you can see, there's a movie player on top, and it will cover the entire screen if you scroll up. So on the top here, there's the logo that takes you back to the start, and then there's the about. This is the inspiration part. There's an audio that's like where you have podcasts or music or stuff like that. And if you scroll down, you get to this section where it's like possible to put in a like. There's going to be a chat over in the right side corner. And here's a text block, as you can see, and then the names of the participants in the art piece. But it doesn't necessarily look like this. This is like one of the 3, and this is how it currently looks. So you can use this as a way of thinking about it in the start. So if you, for example, choose Mozilla Hubs, this entire thing on top will be embedded Mozilla Hubs. Then you have to sort of exit and scroll down to get this part, to get out of the immersive part.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's not much, but I mean, it's something.
Cool. Thank you guys for sharing all your stuff. And of course, it's like 20 minutes past. And at least everyone kind of have an overview of what everyone else is doing. So we're just going to close the session just with a line of encouragement from, I mean, Casper has been writing a lot of comments on the chat. So maybe just a line before we end from Casper.
Well, I just want to congratulate everyone. I think you're all doing an amazing job. And what this meeting showed me, and I hopefully showed you also, is that there's a lot of knowledge, tips, and help that you can tap into from one another. So like I would really encourage you, especially at the last stretch of the journey, to like reach out, use Slack for like mass communication, ask for help, and also to be generous to other teams if you feel there's anything you can help them with, you know. So, yeah, just keep going. Great job, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing your references. And Paulina also wanted to, she left silently because she has a meeting, but she told me to convey that if you guys need to grab her over Slack, she's more than willing to offer her help. I also second what Casper said about this idea is to team support. And Shai, any last statement or words of love before we close this session?
Not much except of wow. Really,
wow, it's a good one.
All of you, and yeah, it's always like it's the third year I'm doing this, and it's always so incredible to see like what you can do in such a short time, and yeah, so amazed. And if you need any clarifications or if there is any way that I can help you, please don't hesitate to reach me or Pebbles.
Exactly. And you can see we are also very tired. Yeah, like it has not been such a tiring month, but very well worthy. Like we get very inspired by all of you guys. So thank you for the hard work and also patience putting through with us. So yes, we'll be here for you if you need. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Good job.